Hi, how many of you have planned lessons? You taught your lesson, and when it was time to turn the assignment in, the students did not turn the work in, or the work that was turned in was work that was incomplete. So, does that make you frustrated? So, what are you going to do about it when students turn work in and the work is incomplete? And you don't get a chance to determine whether the lesson that you taught they learned or whether they didn't learn. So, what are you going to do about it? So you say, yeah, I know what I'm going to do about it. I'm going to fail them. That's what I'm going to do. And what is failing them going to do? What lesson will that teach them? Well, it will teach them the lesson that if you come to my class and I do all this planning and I do all this instruction, you're going to get an F. That's going to show you. That's going to motivate you. Well, maybe it motivates you, or maybe it motivates me, but it's not going to motivate a whole lot of kids. What motivated me didn't motivate my brother. So, have you ever been in a situation like that? And if you have, you're in the right place. And if you want to find out just what it is that you need to do in order to make the changes that it's going to take to get your students to turn in their assignments, then you're in the right place. So what we're going to be talking about today is how to add spice to your curriculum by making the old new. So as a principal, I saw that not all, but a lot of my teachers were giving students that were getting failing grades. So I called them in, or I asked particular teachers, that had an excessive amount of failures. I said, well, what's going on? Why are all these students failing? And their answers were, they just didn't turn in the work. I mean, we're required to have so many assignments on the books. And what do you want me to do? You want me to give them a grade? They didn't turn the work in. Or some of them who did turn the work in, the work was half done. And I've told them that, they can come to school early and I'll help them with the work, or they can stay after school and I'll help them with the work. And they didn't do it. So what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to just give them a passing grade if they haven't done that? And you know what? That is a challenge. That's a challenge. Principals, that is a challenge that our teachers face on a daily basis. But there is something that you can do about it. There is something that just may work at your school. Hi, my name is Barbara Polk. I am known as Turnaround Principal. I have turned around schools, and I have turned those schools into hallelujah success stories. And I want to welcome you today to Principals on the Come Up, where we do transform schools into hallelujah success stories. What we're going to be talking about is how to spice up your curriculum to make the old new. And you're teaching the curriculum. You're teaching the standards. You're doing the same old thing, the same old way. And there's a way in order for us to be able to get our students to master the standards, to master those standards that they absolutely need, and provide a way for them to not get an F on their report card, or not to get a 60 on their report card, or a failing grade on their report card. There is a way to do that. There is a way to do it. And if you want to know more, just stand by. But what I want you to do right now, I want you to hit that share button. If you're on barbaraypolk.com, if you are on Barbara Ray Polk Consulting, if you are on Principals on the Come Up, that is a private group, and we're going to ask you before this episode is over to join Principals on the Come Up. And if you are a member, all you have to do is hit that plus button, And that plus button will give you the opportunity to invite your friends who desperately need this, because this is something that a lot of people are fighting about. And it's our children are failing. We live in an environment, we live in communities where our students are not getting the kind of education that they so deserve. We're living in a time where we're post-pandemic and we're trying to catch up. We're experiencing a learning loss, and at the same time, we're having to provide standards for them to get prepared for the next grade. So we have to do all of that. So we're about to talk about some information, about to share some gems, share some goodies that you and some of your colleagues can use in your school to take these children to the higher level, help them to help you reach the vision of your school, where your school will be a hallelujah success story. So as I was saying, hey, Miss Miller, good to see you. As I was saying earlier, I am going to ask you to join Principals on the Come Up when this is all over, if you're not already a member. So what we're going to be talking about is adding spice to your curriculum and making the old new. So what we're going to be talking about is something that I found out about. I was exposed to an organization that's called the Southern Regional Board in Georgia. And I came across something that was called the power of I. And I know some of you may have been exposed to the power of I, and we've talked about the power of I, but we're going to go just a little bit deeper tonight to talk about the power of I. And the power of I is not about giving students anything. The power of I is to be able to help our students achieve at the level that they can achieve. We're talking about not failing students, but giving students an I. Now, when you give students an I, you are going to have to determine some parameters, okay? There's some things that are going to have to be in place in order to make the power of I work. And we're going to go over those today, and you can use this if you like. I could show you how to use it, but we're going to go over some of the critical parts of the power of I. So you say that, well, you know, you're giving students an I instead of giving them an F. What is that going to do? That simply means that will give them an extra time to practice and an extra time to improve. We are doing instruction that is standards-based. And if it's standards-based, we know exactly what they're going to be tested over. We know what are the critical areas that they need in order to be successful. So we, instead of us failing them, we're going to give them an I. We're going to give them an incomplete. Hello, Darius Brandon. Good to see you. We're going to help them meet the standards. That's why we give them an I instead of giving them an F. We are going to show them what an A product looks like and what a B product looks like. So you say, well, you know, for example, you may, this may be far-fetched, but you send somebody to a diamond mine and say, okay, go find me some diamonds. Okay, I gave you a shovel. I showed you, you know, where the mine is now, you know, go and dig. Well, first thing you say, well, I don't even know what a diamond looks like. I don't even know whether this is a good diamond or a bad diamond. Well, the same is true when you are giving A's and giving B's. And you're going to have to decide among the departments at your school, what is an A and what is a B? Because, you know, there's an A at one school is a C at another school. A C at one school is an A at another school. So you're going to have to determine just what an A looks like and what a B looks like, and then show that to the students. This is your expectation to meet the standard. And you're going to also have to help them work with each other. We're talking about the power of the incomplete and giving them the opportunity to change those incompletes into passing grades, change those incompletes into high quality work. So teachers are going to have to push the students. Now we're talking about a new paradigm shift here. We're talking about, you know, students who are just given ribbons just for showing up. We're talking about pushing students, and we're talking about students primarily who are in our low-income schools, our schools that have been rated D in the past, our schools have been rated C, and you want to move up, but especially those students who are in schools where they have received the rating of F. These students need all that we can get them to do, and at the same time push them towards excellence. So the other side may say, well, F is going to change his behavior. That's right. The F is going to change his behavior. But guess what? An F lets them off the hook. That's what it does. An F does not change their behavior. It just encourages them to continue to do the same old thing. And they're going to get what they always got. So you say, I'm going to still give them an F. Well, I want you to show me the data that shows that giving students an F is going to help them be more responsible. Show me where that is. If a student gets help, if a student is shown where he needs work, where she needs to improve, that shows responsibility when they do the work and they turn it in and they get a grade. Giving a student an I helps them with work ethic. It shows them that if I work hard, if I push, I'm just not taking an F. I'm working for this. I'm working to remove this I and have a good grade replaced there. That's teaching work ethic. It teaches them values. They value working hard. They value the content. They value getting a higher grade than what they had before. And the entire process, when you stop giving Fs and you give incompletes, what you are teaching them is that I can do better. I know I can do better. And I know I can do better because I know that I'm going to get help to do better. When you do better, what's going to be the outcome of that? When you help students do better, you're going to have improved test scores. You're going to have improved achievement scores. Students are going to come to school, so your attendance is going to improve. I'm not talking about something that I don't know. I'm talking about something that I experienced. You know, being from my last school was initially assigned to me as a low performing campus. That campus was the lowest performing campus in my school district, one of the lowest performing campuses in the state of Texas. And later I was chosen by the Texas Education Agency to go into schools that were low performing and to use all of the techniques and the skills that were required and then help them turn those schools around into Hallelujah success stories. We have Hallelujah success stories. I was also chosen by the Harvard Graduate School of Education, their Urban School Institute, to meet with other principals who had overcome the low performing status. And we got together from all over the United States and other countries to talk about ways we could do to improve our students' learning, especially our students of color, especially our students who live in rural areas. They were the ones that we were focusing on. So when you stop giving Fs and you do give them Is, you're going to help with test scores. You're going to help with discipline. You're going to help with attendance. And you know what? Students will have a self-worth. So what does that mean? That means that I'm proud of the work that I did. I didn't think that I could finish that work. I didn't understand what the teacher was telling me to do. And you know what happens? When that goes on in a school, your culture begins to change. It becomes a school where everybody is wanting to achieve. Everybody is wanting to do better. The whole spirit of the school changes when you do the power of I. The other thing is that with the power of I, you also have an opportunity to see that you have some teachers who need some professional development with their content. Now, if your teachers don't know the content, and you know they don't know the content, then it's going to be very difficult for them to be able to do exciting activities because they don't know the content. But it's the responsibility of the principal to make sure that those teachers get what they need, even if it's something that the instructional coach can help them with, can do the professional development. It could be an assistant principal who is proficient at that content that can do the professional development. But that is the way to get your school turned around. If you want to have a hallelujah success story, then one of the techniques that you can use is called the power of I. And I want you to know that everybody's not going to like it. And everybody's not going to want to do it. So maybe you should start with one department. Maybe you should start with 2 or 3 teachers who want to know more about it. And they will step back and they will see what you're doing. And as far as the school climate is concerned, as far as the extra help has to be something that is systematic within the school. You can't just have one teacher to say, well, we're going to have extra help after school. No, it has to be something that everybody is offering at that particular time. You can even change, your inner schedule and have that time for extra help. I mean, that's the way it's done. It is not done just by cherry picking, do a little bit here and a little bit there, and then expect all these big results. That's not going to happen. So when you add spice to your curriculum by making the old new, taking the old is simply, if they don't do the work, just give them an F. That's the old. So what we're looking at is doing something new, doing something different. Remember this month we've been talking about being creative. And this is just one other way to be creative, and it's the power of I. The power of I is fantastic. Your teachers can come up with all kinds of ways as long as they maintain the principle of the power of I. So what can you do? You can tell teachers that don't fail the students, those that are failing. Give them an I. Let them work within their departments on how they're going to do that. Make sure you have the extra help. And most importantly, include your parents. Now, in our low performing campuses, we include the parents only when it's been a mandate by the state or your central administration says you have to include the parents. They have to sign this survey. Traditionally you don't include the parents, but the parents need to know. The parents need to be a part of this. The parents of those children who were in the low performing campuses, they didn't have good experiences at school. So they just say, well, you go to school, I send you to school. You got all those smart people over there. Those smart people can help you. Now, here's an issue that needs to be you need to be concerned about, and that is your permanent substitutes. You need to be able to get your permanent substitutes on board, get them to understand the content, and get them with your team, with your content team, and teach them how to do this. Because your permanent substitute is just like a regular teacher, just not receiving the benefits and the pay. They have all the same expectations as your regular teachers have, and you're going to have to pull them in and help them to understand this. Because even your degree teachers and your teachers who have lots of experience, that this is just a paradigm shift for them that they are not going to even want to touch. They just believe that, if you don't do the work, then what you get is an F. That's what happened to me when I was in school, and that's what's going to happen to you. And not realizing that we have standards, and our students will not be proficient in our standards unless our children have an opportunity to practice, unless our children get opportunities for reteaching, unless our children understand just what good work looks like. You may call it rigor. We're looking for evidence. We're looking for evidence that the students understand the work that we're doing. If it's writing, it's having to edit the paper 2 times or 3 times. If it's science, if it's a project, they will have to have a rubric and make sure they follow that rubric step by step. And if they don't, they get an I. They go back to do it, again. It's just like the kids when they start playing basketball. When they try to rope the goal, they're not going to get it the first time. They keep practicing and practicing and practicing, and eventually they learn that technique on how to shoot that ball. And it's the same thing with the power of I. We do good planning, we do good teaching, and we have to have evidence to show that we have done a good job and that our students understand the standards. Can your school do this? That's a good question. What I want you to do is to look at your links. Contact me at barbaraypoe.com or join our Principals on the Come Up, where you will get resources and tips and strategies in order to improve your schools, because we are here as a team to help your school become a hallelujah success story. See you next time.